Hello and welcome to Hanamate. This video is for anybody who wants to get into junk journaling and doesn't know where to start. So junk journaling is not my favorite word, but it does describe what this craft is. So it is truly creating journals out of something that may be considered junk. So it is recycling of any kind of paper material that can be used and create a journal. It is little different type of journaling than what we are traditionally used to. It is more artsy journal, right? You're adding different um, paper. You can also add other fabric or other materials, but you are creating a journal for the creative process rather than journaling your thoughts. So first of all, I usually have stash of some kind of covers for the journals itself. It means the front and the back page. I do like sturdy material for it. So everything you see right here, like the envelopes and different binders and notebooks, the back sides are usually fantastic for that. You can use whatever method you want. I can guarantee you probably already have something at home, and that is one part why I do truly like this type of craft activity. I call it obsession, but anyhow, if you want to make your own junk journal, this video is for you, and I will take you through a few different samples of materials that I use. So this envelope was new, however, it was fantastic sturdy material and I'm pretty sure it was upcycled. Or you can use mini binder like I'm using here. There are many different ways you can eventually bind the pages. But let's talk about the pages, the basic pages for junk journals, what I use. So as you can see, this is an old-fashioned um, book of fairy tales and folk tales. I loved it. I grabbed it a long time ago. I read it to my kids. I love the fact that the illustrations are watercolors, and sure enough, they are by a Czechoslovakian uh, illustrator, and I can strongly relate to it because that's where I was born. As you can see, I speed it up quite a bit, but I do hope you can see from it the potential. However, the pages that I use for junk journals, I am a little picky when it comes to thickness. So the design is important and the pattern on it. However, I always look at sturdy pages because that's the base of your what you can call eventually art piece, right? Even though you can make them thicker by adding other layers, but I do like to start with thick page. So this book was fantastic, great quality, nice thicker pages. Obviously, somebody very smart who published the book was thinking, hey, this is going to be used over and over, and many kids are going to touch it and enjoy the amazing watercolors as well as read the text. So it is nice, sturdy paper. So I guess it's the one of the first conditions when you are using any type of material and paper. First of all, do the smell test. Check out for any kind of bugs, especially if you are buying used, and then pick a good quality paper that is thick. The other thing that I look at is definitely what kind of page it is and how glossy it is. Because if you pick something glossy, it's kind of hard to write on it with a regular pen. So the next option that I like to use is any kind of artsy books, basically photographs of art. So this was, I believe, American Impressionists. So the page is not full of picture, but it doesn't matter. I can do the writing and add different kinds of papers on the edges or on the parts that are not um, the art itself, right? That don't have color or design on it. I was mentioning the glossy paper, so this book is borderline glossy, but I try to write on it and it's fine, and I could not resist the pictures, right? Um, Also, if you have any pages that are kind of empty or don't have anything on it, don't worry about it because you can cover it with other um, paper, other materials. I do like more, my junk journal pages are mostly kind of collage anyhow. Um, these books are fantastic and easy to find, really. I do think that there was a trend maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago to have large books, kind of, I guess they are called coffee table books, would be some kind of geography books, facts, photographs, art, and they are easy to find. My other choice, or what I use for junk journals, is any kind of papers that are used for creating art already. So it would be watercolor paper, which is fantastic and thick, and it's this type, or pastel paper. So if you go to yard sales and thrift stores, look for any type of paper that you can use. And once again, I did pick this one because it's thicker. By the way, I love the colors and it's a fantastic vintage. It even smelled vintage, the nice kind, the good kind of smell. But these type of papers are super valuable and fantastic. And once you insert them in the junk journals, hopefully the person that receives it, or if it's you, you would know how to use it, right? So you could create that page as the draw on it, or do chalk, or pastels, or watercolors. So that's another paper that I always go after. So if I look in thrift stores, that would be my choice. This amazing book, and there are many of them. So this is not necessarily like typical coloring book. This is probably more pricey, special coloring book that has got really nice thick pages, and they are matte. They will be super easy to write on, and I love the patterns. The patterns in itself, of course, I like the fact that it's black and white because it kind of adds class, goth look, but they are incredible pictures. Yes, I found it partially sad to chop them up on pieces, but I do know that they will look fantastic in my junk journals. I also have to admit that I have a soft spot for any kind of cool books, and I always did some kind of crafts, and now I'm super happy to use my stash of books for junk journals. They are amazing, and even if I feel like, oh, maybe I can, I don't know, give this to somebody or resell it, no, I am not going to, because there are some for the junk journals, and because I already made few junk journals, I know the potential, how great they will be. As you can see, this is a coloring book that somebody was already coloring. So I think I got it somewhere at yard sale. There are so cute pictures. So I was saying that somebody used it for coloring. Eventually, when I am putting the um, stash of papers together in journal, I will decide if I want to use that part or not. It can always be covered, or you can just finish coloring it. So that's the stash that came from just one of these coloring books. By the way, I do have a size that I uh, like the most. Oh, sorry, this is actually a calendar that somebody gave me. Unfortunately, it's kind of old now, meaning used to be used as a calendar, but I love the images. I love the quality of the paper, and I do think that even if I chop it up on pieces, so I'm destroying the art itself, it will be fantastic for junk journals. Once again, great quality paper, good and nice and thick. These can be, by the way, possibly used for cover pages as well. I'm also trying to be a little smart, and I am just cutting the parts that are on the opposite side of the binding itself, because I will try to create a special journal from the pages that are close to the binding, right? As you can see, I am cutting away pages for my size of junk journal, and then I will have the leftover. You probably see me cutting to different sizes of papers. So I just work with what I have, but I like the um, junk journals that are mini binders or have little rings. I can combine it. It means that I have more flexibility and can replace separate pages, right? Which is super cool feature. And I also have leftover of the smaller side, what you see right now on the right side, and I will create different junk journals from it. Once you start hoarding paper, it's very hard to give any away and not use it. No, I'm actually somewhat serious. This is incredible hobby with many different categories and themes and outlets and artsy outlets basically, and you can get carried away hoarding the supplies, right? So I would advise you to try to create journals first before you hoard many items, because you will also learn what works for you. That said, we artists never throw out anything, right? So we can always use it. So this is the last page of the calendar, and it's nice and big, and I'm putting it aside because I know I can use it for cover pages for my junk journals. So calendars are great, however, do make sure that it's thicker pages. If it's thinner, I wouldn't use them for base of the page, but I would use them as a part of the collage or filler, attaching it, gluing it to the thicker pages. So, and this is the part that's left, and I think I can create some really cool journal from it. I'm already excited. Yay! So, what next? I had this book that I love the drawing. I am partially sad to take it apart. However, this is one of those times when I'm deciding, rather than giving it away and treating it as a treasure or donating it or reselling it, I am going to use it because I love the images. That's why I got it, right? And I do think that the beauty of junk journals is when you have different patterns and designs. It could be same theme, but having different papers in it is fantastic. So since this book has got such incredible images, I want to use it. By the way, I do purchase my books usually in at the art sales or in secondhand stores. I always make sure I donate something, meaning items when I come, and then I kind of usually they give me such a good price that I don't mind donating extra $5, $6, $10, whatever. But there are also, I'm sure you have lots of friends who are getting rid of books, especially when kids are growing up. There are certain images that are great, there are some that are not. It depends on you what your style is, but mm, don't necessarily rush to store to buy something new. Do ask your friends or visit thrift stores for your supplies. If you do worry about bugs and um, the funkiness of used books, I wiped mine with rubbing alcohol when I come home, and then I put them in the freezer for at least 24 hours. That's supposed to kill all the bugs. Um, I don't know if you see right now, I have a little marks on my cutter, and this last piece was narrower, more narrow than I need. However, it's a junk journal, so it doesn't matter what size. You don't have to cut exactly everything to the same size. So I know that when I am going to be creating my pages, I can use anything. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite. This is my favorite um, paper to use in my junk journals. It is the old-fashioned how to draw books, and they are fantastic for many reasons. First of all, it's great size, right? They are really big. They have very good quality, thick paper, and the images are fantastic. They are kind of vintage looking, but in most cases, I love the colors. They are like pastel, darker colors, and I love them, love them, love them. And if you add them to your junk journals, it's good when you combine it with plain paper and you throw these in, because they add they make it more artsy. They kind of wake up your imagination, and I just love working with them. I think they're amazing. Even on its own, it'll be great little junk journal, just these pages, right? By the way, when I'm going to combine the pages together, I will have to use my brain a little bit and think about the directions of the pages. So like right now, you can see it's a building. So if I would like to keep the building, I am not going to make the roof, um, I'm going to make it look like a house, right? But that depends on you again, what's your style, right? And always remember, you are just having fun and you're being creative. When it comes to supplies, when I do this, I definitely love this type of cutter. It's just super fast, it's nice and sharp, and works great for layers. This is old-fashioned one, so I am aware that all my pages are not exactly the same size. I also know that sometimes when I cut something thicker pages or large volume, I mess it up a little bit. But again, it's junk journaling, so it doesn't really matter. And I am kind of, I wanted to say I'm free, but I am not really strict or rule follower. I don't have issue with need to create perfect stuff, so this works for me. But definitely, if you ever see these type of books or any kind of art instruction, it could be how to draw books, how to do watercolors, how to do oil painting, how to, I don't know, take photography, or books about artists. They are fantastic. They are fantastic for junk journals. I think especially for people who are leaning like art junk journal. I am not going to tell you about the binding process or how I create the journals, and since this video is going to be already extremely long, I am just talking about the pages. They are really cool. Eh? I love them, love them, love them. And then I have the smaller size that I can make different journals. I don't throw out anything. As you saw me, I had little strips left. So this is just a regular paper that I purchased for another project. It's kind of cardstocky, so it's a little thicker, and it's fantastic. And I do think that there's something, um, uh, I don't know what word to use, if it's special or cool to basically use old and new, right? So if I'm upcycling, I sometimes, it depends who's going to receive the gift, right? There are some people who love the idea of recycling and upcycling, but there are some people who kind of may find it a little iffy because they are not used to or don't want to reuse items. They would prefer new. And I do think that if you kind of combine recycled materials and new, you are creating a piece that's mix of old and new. It makes it a little bit more richer or valuable, or not trashy, even though it is called junk journal. But it's not about the name. But I hope that I kind of explained myself somewhat clearly. So this is the regular size of letter paper, which is what 8.5 by 11, and as you can see for my size of my pages, which is 6 3/4 and 4 inches, that's just a mini binder. You can pick whatever you want, right? Easy way will be to just cut this in, I don't know, halves or quarters. But I am sticking to my size that I love, that I find the most kind of convenient, comfortable to create pages on. And as you can see that I'm cutting two of the sizes that I need, and then one is smaller and one strip. However, I do use everything, so I know I already have planned how to use the strips. I made few videos, by the way, about using strips, which is a great technique for if you don't know how to use base of the page, or if you are a little intimidated. So this is all the stash of papers I got. So now I am cutting regular size craft paper that's 12 by 12 inches. This paper, I believe, is meant for scrapbooks. I love that paper. This is new, so it's not really junk journaling, but I had a stash of them for a while because I used to do scrapbooking. I love this paper because it has got fantastic and fun pattern, and there are always few pages of it. So if you are creating junk journals, you can make a few of the same, right? That's great for resale, and you can also it's kind of nice if the pattern is somewhat repeating. I am using the covers for what will be eventually covers, right? Because it's a little bit thicker. The one kind of advice I would give if you are buying brand new, I prefer paper that has got pattern on both sides, right? Because it kind of gives you more freedom. As you can see, this paper is white on one side and colored or pattern on the other, which is not an issue, especially if I'm reusing what I have, right? But if you're buying new, or if you are buying one in the thrift store, look for one that has got both sides with pattern. This paper is fantastic, by the way. It's always great quality and always tons of design. Again, if you're going to buy new, there are tons of different patterns, and you can pick kind of the theme that you would like to use, which is great and super handy, of course. So that's all I got from these scrapbooking papers. Sometimes I use my brain and I actually work with the pattern, like right now, right? I do think that the page itself will be nicer with the stripes, or the rulers that are on it horizontally. This is vertical, right? So it's just different, but I do think that it's nice if, or it is somewhat useful if you actually are looking at what you are cutting. So that's about it. I'm almost done. I just want to let you know that there are many, 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 many more options what to add to your junk journals from maps. They are fantastic. However, I find that the old-fashioned atlas or the books of maps the maps are thinner. If you can find maps on their own, they are, or especially nautical maps, they are nice and thick. They are maybe challenging to cut because they wouldn't fit in your cutter. So you first cut them into strips with a ruler, right? You measure it and cut them in strips to fit in your cutter, whatever style you're doing. But I just wanted to mention maps. They are fantastic. You can also use all sorts of paper bags, plain brown paper, or even decorative like gift bags. The coloring books are always fantastic. Any kind of kids books, any kind of art books. There are so many options, and I can guarantee you that if you get into junk journaling or journaling, you can always find materials. It seems that we live in a place, I guess, or in age where paper is not valued as it used to be. Remember 40 years ago, don't cut down the trees or take care of trees because we need paper. Anyhow, I feel that there is tons and tons of paper now and we can really use it, even though there is that pride of reusing what we have and creating junk journals that are somewhat true to its name. I feel like I'm talking too much, but I do hope that I gave you some ideas what to use and you will be somewhat less intimidated to start. So that's Incredible Stash. I think those two packages of scrapbooking paper, and this is me, this is my final product. So as you can see, I was chopping maybe for a few hours every day for an hour or so, and this is the stash of the papers I have. So it's a large amount, and I'm probably going to create over 20 junk journals. I'm super excited. I'm planning to teach some classes, so these will be very handy. The problem is when I create one that I really, really love, then I don't want to give it away or sell it, right? But I can guarantee you that this is one of those hobbies that you can enjoy anytime, anywhere, and you don't need much for it. You can really use what you have or what is available, or you can do one shopping trip for, I don't know, under $30, $40, and you can have tons of fun creating your own junk journals. And also keep an eyes open for your mail or your office or maybe even workplace if you're allowed to. And you can come across many different paper materials to use. So this is everything that I cut from those whatever 6 books it was. Um, Thank you for watching Animate. You check out my channel. I made a bunch of different videos about junk journals and ask questions if you want to. Thank you for watching Animate.